गणेश जय गणेश पाहि मां। श्री गणेश श्री गणेश रक्ष मां। सरवण भव पाहि मां। कार्तिकेय रक्ष मां। जय सरस्वती पाहि मां। श्री सरस्वती रक्ष मां। जय गुरु शिव गुरु हरि गुरु राम। जगद्गुरु परम गुरु सद्गुरु श्याम। ओम आदि गुरु अद्वैत गुरु आनंद गुरु। चिद गुरु चिद घन गुरु चिन्मय गुरु। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय। नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय। ओम नमो नारायणाय ओम नमो नारायणाय। ओम नमो नारायणाय ओम नमो नारायणाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते रामचंद्राय। आंजनेय पाहि मां। हनुमन्त रक्ष मां। दत्तात्रेय पाहि मां। दत्तगुरु रक्ष मां। शंकराचार्य पाहि मां। भगवत्पाद रक्ष मां। सद्गुरुदेव पाहि मां। शिवानंद रक्ष मां। सद्गुरुदेव पाहि मां। चेदानंद रक्ष मां। शिवानंद पाहि मां। चेदानंद रक्ष मां। गंगाराणि पाहि मां। भागीरथी रक्ष मां। ओम शक्ति पाहि मां। ब्रह्म शक्ति विष्णु शक्ति शिव शक्ति रक्ष मां। ओम आदिशक्ति महाशक्ति पराशक्ति पाहि मां। इच्छा शक्ति क्रिया शक्ति ज्ञान शक्ति रक्ष मां। राजराजेश्वरी पाहि मां। त्रिपुरा सुंदरी रक्ष मां। ओम तत्सत् ओम शांति गजाननभूतगणाधिसेवितं कपित्थजम्बूफलसारभक्षणम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम्। भगवान् विष्णु मङ्गलं गरुडध्वज मङ्गलं पुण्डरीकाक्ष मङ्गलाय तनो हरिः ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ध्यानमूलं गुरुर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलं गुरुपदं मन्त्रमूलं गुरुर्वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरुर्कृपा। ॐ नमः शिवानन्दाय गुरवे सच्चिदानन्दमूर्तये निष्प्रपञ्चाय शान्ताय निरालम्भाय तेजस्वी अन्यथा शरणं नास्ति त्वमेव शरणं मम तस्मात् कारुण्यभावेन रक्ष रक्ष महेश्वर। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। हरिः ॐ। श्रीसूक्तम्। हिरण्यवर्णां हरिणीं सुवर्णरजतस्तदां चन्द्रां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदोमहावह तामहावह जातवेदो लक्ष्मीमनपगामिनीं यस्यां हिरण्यं विन्देयं गामिषं पुरुषानहम् अश्वपूर्वारत्वमध्याहस्तेनाथप्रबोधिनीं श्रियं देवीमुपमोहे श्रीमां देवीर्युषतां कां स्वस्मितां हिरण्यप्राकारां माद्रां ज्वलन्तीं तृप्तां तर्पयन्तीं पद्मे स्थितां पद्मवर्णां तामिह चन्द्रां प्रभासां यशसा ज्वलन्तीं श्रियं लोके देवदृष्टामुदारां तां पद्मिनीं शरणमहं प्रपद्ये लक्ष्मीर्मे दशतां त्वां युने आदित्यवर्णे तपसोऽधिजातो वनस्पतिस्तव पुरुषोत्तमिल्मः तस्य फलानि तपसानुदन्तु मायान्तरायाश्च बाह्यालक्ष्मीः उपेतु मां देवसखः कीर्तिश्च मणिना सह प्रादुर्भूतोऽस्मि राष्ट्रेऽस्मिन् कीर्तिवृद्धिं ददातु मे क्षुत्पिपासामलां ज्येष्ठामलक्ष्मीं नाशयाम्यहम् अभूदेव समृद्धिं च सर्वामिर्मद मे गृहाति गन्धद्वारां दुराधर्षामित्यपृष्टां करिष्ये ईश्वरीं सर्वभूतानां तामेव पवयस्यम् मनसः काममाकुतिं वाचः सत्यमसीमहि पशूनारूपमन्नस्य मयि श्रेयसयतां यशः कर्दमेन प्रजाभूता मयि सम्भव कर्दम श्रियं वासय मे कुले मातरं पद्ममालिनीम् आभासु जन्तु सिद्धानि चिक्लितावसमे गृहे निजदेवीं मातरं श्रियं वासय मे कुले आर्द्रां पुष्करिणीं पुष्टे सुभद्रां हेममालिनीं शूल्यां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदो महावः आर्द्राण्यकरिणीं यष्टिं पिङ्गलां पद्ममालिनीं चन्द्रां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदो महावः तामहावः जातवेदो लक्ष्मीमनपगामिनीं यस्यां हिरण्यं प्रभूतं गावो दास्मस्वान् विन्देयं पुरुषानहम् ॐ महादेव्यै च विद्महे विष्णुपत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मीः प्रचोदयात् हरिः ॐ श्रीगणेशाय नमः अस्य श्रीशनिश्चरस्तोत्रस्य दशरथऋषिः शनिश्चरो देवता त्रिष्टुप्छन्दः शनिश्चर प्रीत्यार्थे जपे विनियोगः दशरथ उवाच कोरुद्रयमोत भव्य कृष्णशनि पिङ्गलमन्दशौरिः नित्यं स्मृतो यो हरते च पीडां तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय सुरासुराः किं पुरुषोरगेन्द्रा गन्धर्वविद्याधरपन्नगाश्च पीड्यन्ति सर्वे विषमस्थितेन तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय नरेन्द्रः पशवः मृगेन्द्रा वन्याश्च ये कीटपतङ्गभृङ्गाः पीड्यन्ति सर्वे विषमस्थितेन तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय देशाश्च दुर्गाणि वनानि यत्र सेनानि वेशाः पुरपत्तनानि पीड्यन्ति सर्वे विषमस्थितेन तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय तिल्यव्यविर्मासगुणान्नदाने लोभेन नीलाम्बरदानतो वा प्रीणान्ति मन्त्रे बीजवासरे च तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय प्रयागकूले यमुनातटे च सरस्वती पुण्यजले गुहायां यो योगिनां ध्यानगतोऽपि सूक्ष्मस्तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय अन्यप्रदेशासु गृहं प्रविष्टस्तदीयभारे स नरः सुखी स्यात् गृहाद्गतो यो नः पुनः प्रयाति तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय स्रष्टा स्वयं भूर्भुवनत्रयस्य त्राता हरिस्वहरते पिनाकी एकस्त्रिधारुजतुसाममूर्तिस्तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय सन्न्यस्तकं यः प्रयतः प्रभाते नित्यं सुपुत्रैः पशुबान्धवैश्च पठेतु सख्यं भुवि भोगयुक्तः प्राप्नोति निर्वाणपदं तदन्ते कोनस्थः पिङ्गलो बभ्रो कृष्णरौद्रं तकर्यमः शौरिः शनिश्चरो मन्दः पिप्पलादेन संस्तुतः एतानि दशनामानि प्रातरुत्थाय यः पठेति शनिश्चरकृतपीडा न कदाचित् भविष्यति। हरिः ओम्।
Welcome to all of you to night Satsang for our Christmas retreat this year. And I'm really, really happy to introduce to you and welcome Swami Muktananda ji. Most of you, I think, know him well. He's traveling around the world giving retreats. And Swamiji right now is in the DLS ashram near Montreal, just outside Montreal. It's called Anande Ashram. So we're really, really happy to have Swamiji here. I've been asking him to come for many years, and he's always doing something else. And this year, it looked like he wouldn't be able to come because of COVID. But due to the wonders of technology, we are able to have him. So Swamiji will be speaking tonight. He'll give a talk. And tomorrow night, he will answer questions. So please send any questions to him either through the form on the website or through chat. Welcome, Swamiji. I'm so happy you've come.
Welcome, Swami Amrita Rupananda. I'm very happy to be here with you all. And yes, thank you. That is technology, yeah. Quite an amazing thing. Let me see. Yes. So yes, welcome to our DLS ashram in Quebec, Canada, in the little town of Saint-Donat, next to the park of Mont-Tremblant. Yes. So, Om. Blessed immortal Atman, beloved children of the divine. This life on planet Earth is a temporary one. It is a short time, but we have the gift of time, the gift of this manifestation of human life on planet Earth for a while. There is an entry with the birth, life, and there's an exit with death. It is not just that we are dying, but when we die also, this universe dies with us. The human being is living with the thinking in general, I am the body, I am the mind, and I am the one doing the actions. The thought of myself is the author of all my actions. And this world, this environment is the reality. It is a truth. But this reality, as we think of it in general, has the characteristics of all its part also being born and dying. Nothing in this universe is eternal. Everything is ever changing and also dying. In this universe, there are three types of existence. You have non-existence, that is, four types of non-existence. The first non-existence is that, for example, before this pair of glass is manufactured, it is non-existent. Then when it is built and it is here in your hands, in my hands, then it is existent. Before that, it was non-existent. And so the first non-existence is like that. Before something exists, it is non-existent. That's the first non-existence. So before you're born, you are non-existent. When you're born, there is an existence. So that's the first non-existence. The second non-existence is I take this pair of glass and I throw it in the fire behind me. Then from existence, it becomes non-existence. It ceases to exist. So that non-existence is a second non-existence. So that which exists, this pair of glass, when I throw it in the fire, it will never come back. The first non-existence has no beginning, but it has an end when the pair of glass is manufactured. When the pair of glass is manufactured, then it is ceasing to be non-existent. There is an existence. That non-existence has no beginning. It has an end when the pair of glass is as if born, if you want. Then when I throw it in the fire, it is now non-existent. The non-existence starts of the pair of glass. And that non-existence has a beginning, but it has no end. That pair of glass will never come back as that pair of glass. The third non-existence is a mutual non-existence. So I don't exist in the pair of glass. The pair of glass doesn't exist in me. An object there to the right does not exist into an object to the left, and vice versa. There is a mutual non-existence. And the fourth non-existence is a kind of absolute non-existence. The tooth of a chicken, the teeth of a chicken has no teeth. So the teeth of a chicken is an absolute non-existence. So like that, you have four types of non-existence. And it characterizes everything in this universe, these four non-existences. Then you have three types of differences. So the first difference in the universe, the first difference is between, for example, say two objects like a cow and a horse. A cow and a horse there's a difference between the cows and the horses. So that's the first difference. The second difference is the difference between inside of a cow, or rather between the cows, you have different categories of cows. You have brown cows, you have black cows, you have white cows with black spots, you have black cows with white spots, you have sacred cows, you have all sorts of cows like this. So this is the second difference. The third difference is within a cow, you have the different parts of the cow. So you have the head of the cow, the eyes of the cow, the mouth of the cow, the tail of the cow. So these are the differences within a cow. Now the sages have thought about that since thousands of years. If you're trying to find a fourth kind of difference, you will not find it. And if you're trying to find a fifth type of non-existence, you will not find it. These, for example, four non-existences and three differences are characterizing absolutely everything in this universe. For example, you have a star. The star is first non-existent. Then you have clusters of stars in the universe, and the star is born. It's like cradle of stars, and the star is born. So when a star is born, then it has an existence, and before that it was non-existent. It will live like our sun for 10 billion years, and then it dies. Then it is non-existent. So everything in the universe is characterized by these three differences and four non-existences. But if you're looking at the self, look at your own self the way that you can. If you're looking at the consciousness, the awareness at the self, who you are. Now, one thing you can say is, in the self, there are no non-existences. At no time there is a non-existence. You exist in the waking state. You exist in the dream state. And you exist in the deep sleep state. At no time, you are non-existent. That which is characterizing everything in this universe does not characterize your own self. Your own self escapes that which is touching everything in this universe. And in the self also, there are no differences. It is there are no differences. There is no duality in the self. So it is not characterized by the differences which is characterizing everything in this universe. Whether it is in the waking state, in the dream state also, there is the self, and in the deep sleep state, the self is there. When you wake up, you can say, I had a good sleep. So consciousness is there in the deep sleep state that knows that you had a good sleep. You are there in the deep sleep state. Someone might say, well, where's the proof? I was not conscious in the deep sleep state. You might want to say that you are not there in the deep sleep state, but then it becomes illogical, because that which is non-existent in the deep sleep state could not become an existence in the waking state. So necessarily you are there in the deep sleep state. So if you analyze that, are you there in the deep sleep state? Yes, you are. So the sages, they have studied the nature of who we are, the nature of God, and the nature of this world. And they have reconciled it. If you're asking a sage, how does it feel to be realized? His answer might be, I am reconciled with the whole world, which is an answer, for example, that my spiritual sister, Amrita Rupananda, that is guiding this retreat has witnessed from Swami Brahmananda to some children. So, being awakened to the self, you're reconciled with yourself, reconciled with God, and reconciled with the whole world. These things are not three things, they're the same thing. So the human being is starting with this assumption, I am the body and mind. But when the sages have studied who am I, and what am I? What is the purpose of my life here? Why is there suffering, good and evil? They decided to sit down a long time ago and to find the truth. So from the first assumption, I am the body and mind, they had this inner exploration in meditation. And for years they decided to stay put and not to move. Even if they die, we will not move until we have an answer to that question. Who am I? Why are we here? They first arrived into an inner experience after years of practice of an expansion within, in the sense I am, where there was a great stability. And they called that space Ka. And some of them, and they thought, oh, that's it. We have reached the truth. Because it was so comfortable, so stable, and it was a unified space, a unified place. But after a while, some of them started to say, no, it cannot be the truth. Because something is aware of that peace, of that state. So what is it that is aware of that state? And so they continued until that finally the self revealed itself. And it was not I am now, it was I. In particular, the I recognized in a state now that where in that state it was the deep sleep state recognized in the waking state and in which they recognized their own self. And they were in awe. They were in awe in front of that realization, in front of that revelation. When you read the experience of Ramana Maharshi, it is written when you go to Tiruvannamalai, Arunachala, you go to Ramana's ashram. And there's a wall where he's describing his own experience. So he had the sense that death was coming to him. So he laid down, closed his nostril and his ears and his eyes and played dead because there was a feeling of death. And playing dead like this, he saw that he was still conscious, but to his state, the consciousness revealed itself. the self revealed itself, the I revealed itself. And he was, as he says himself, the self was in awe with the self. The self was in awe with the self. So, the state of death, the appearance of death like this, of the experience of Ramana Maharshi, can be compared to the deep sleep state. And recognizing in that deep sleep, in that experience, the I, that is where you find the ultimate self, the ultimate experience, the Sahaja Samadhi. That which can be compared to that is the state of a 3-month-old baby. In what state is a 3-month-old baby? The baby has no mind. He has no thought. The brain has not yet started to function. He enjoys the bliss of the self, but he's not aware of the self. He doesn't know that he is that self, and yet he enjoys the state that is there. So, to be awakened, aware of the consciousness that is there in the state of a baby, is like to be aware of the state that you are when you are in deep sleep and recognizing there the I, the consciousness. And the only thing you can say to describe that experience is maybe spirit with a big S. And that is the place where the I is infinite and eternal and divine. So the sages of India have put before us a path to wake up to that truth. And you're blessed because you are interested in discovering that truth in your own life. When most people live their lives thinking, I'm the body and mind, and this world is real, here you are interested in discovering the truth, discovering who am I? Why am I here? We have to recognize and to be humble about it that the path starts with an identification with the body and mind. So there's a process. If you were in the presence of Ramana Maharshi, then there was such a presence there that could touch you. And if you were ready for it, reveal the self to you. But very, very, very few people, like Ramana would say, the silence, the most profound teaching that I give is in that silence, but very few people are able to receive it. So there's a process which starts on the level of the body and mind. Gurudev Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj puts before us that process in a very detailed way. So, for example, an easy path is the repetition of God's name, the practice of the presence of God, and thus offering all of our actions to God. Ripening first to the first step of our spiritual life, which is the sense I am, the inner peace. And loving God in the form of that peace. You are that which impresses you and that which prints you. You are that which is impressing you and printing you. If a thought is impressing you, oh, then it prints you. You become that. And the first process of, in order to be able to finally discover who am I, to be able to climb the peak of knowledge, we first must cease to exist on the level of thoughts, on the level of mind. And for that, we need to ripen to the inner peace. So, for example, the repetition of God's name, the practice of the presence is ripening you to that inner peace. Acknowledging here in that peace that peace is God, then all of this world phenomenon around you belongs to that peace. A tree seems to be outside of you, but inside of you, you feel God in the form of peace. And that peace, which is God, includes the tree here inside of you. There's this image of God in India, which is called Kali. Kali is an expression of the Divine Mother, which has the tongue and, fiery eyes, which is symbolic of the fact that tongue like this is actually swallowing up the whole universe. To have, when you're ripening to that peace and you live in connectedness with that peace, you live in communion with that peace, you live as being that peace, then, and you believe that that peace is God, then even this vast universe does not impress you. It is swallowed by your belief in God in the form of that inner peace. So, what does that peace have to do with that which I started with, the three differences and the four non-existences in this universe? Well, peace is actually an appearance of consciousness. Peace is the appearance of consciousness that you could call then the universal mind. Mind is like the snake in the rope. Even peace is like the snake in the rope. And yet it is a form, an expression which is at the same time in which you're entering in ignorance, but then which makes it possible for you to be free. When you're ripening to that peace, and you love God in the form of that peace, it becomes antaryamin, it becomes vidyamaya, the current that is bringing you and awakening you to consciousness. Peace is the appearance of consciousness. Peace is really consciousness itself. But as long as it is I am, it is peace. When it is recognized, when you recognize the state, it becomes, when you cease to believe that in this environment as separate from you, you cease to exist as a false existence. As long as you believe in this universe and in the other, you could say, and not seeing that everything belongs to God here in the form of that peace, then you exist as something that is impressing you, imprinting you. If I say America, oh, I'm American, and then it is impressing you, and then it is printing you. My family, it is impressing you, and then it is printing you. But when you are abiding in that peace, believing in God in the form of that peace, all these impressions are swallowed up by Kali. They're swallowed up by God. Nothing then, with years of practice like this, nothing then is there to impress you. Then simply who you are can surge. And in particular, the state in which you are in deep sleep can be recognized in the waking state. It is called Yoga Nidra. Not the Yoga Nidra of the school of yoga. There's nothing to do with that. Yoga Nidra is drawing into the waking state, the state in which you are when you are in deep sleep. Being as if in deep sleep, and then recognizing in the waking state the state in which you are in deep sleep. To make it possible, like Ramana Maharshi, to recognize the self in the waking state. And then the I, or the self, being recognized in the deep sleep state makes you understand that, oh, even peace was just an appearance of the self, and yet peace is the self. Peace as I am, the self as I am is an appearance, and yet, as I said again, it is that which we need to use to be free, to wake up to that consciousness. We cannot jump from the human being to the self. It's not possible. So there is a whole process like this. The ashram is in Rishikesh. So Rishikesh means the land of the rishis. And in particular, the land of the ashrams, it's called Tapobhumi. It's the Bhumi is land, or the land of tapas, austerity. It is a great austerity for man to live a life of connectedness with the inner peace. To have a discipline, giving a discipline to the mind in such a way that you don't let the mind go hither and thither, you control it in such a way that you have a connectedness in your daily life with God. And so peace is ripening. And you're abiding in that peace, and then you can become a rishi. That means the self, which is that which sees, awakes in your life. There's no explanation to magically understand the different steps. Each one is where he is spiritually, and there's a process by which we move, but we need to acknowledge first where we are in a simple way. no no amount of intellectual spinning is going to give you the self. Guru Maharaj, Swami Chidanandaji Maharaj, used to say that peace is the inner peace is the barometer of your spiritual life. It is a current, a movement, which brings you back to God. It's like 90% of your life is a life of ripening, abiding, connecting with that peace. So that one day you are ready, and with the grace of Gurudev, the time comes, okay, then you're studying the deep sleep state, and suddenly you're able to recognize in your waking state the state in which you are in deep sleep. And then the self, the I in that state. And the I is God. The I is, that is where the land of what Jesus called the Father, is the self. Sahaja Samadhi, the highest peak of yoga and Vedanta. And where the I understands, verily, Sarvam Brahmamaya Re Re, Sarvam Brahmamaya. Everything is God. It's not intellectually, we believe in Jnana Yoga, you have Jnana Yoga, you believe Sarvam Brahmamaya Re Re, Sarvam Brahmamaya, Kim Vachaniyam, Kim Vachaniyam, Kim Rachaniyam, Kim Rachaniyam, Sarvam Brahmamaya. You believe it. There is a path of Jnana Yoga. But it is not, it is a process of yoga, which is also, advancing in the path of knowledge. But ultimately, it is the true I, the self, that understands, oh, everything is God. Intellectually, it's not the person that understands everything is God. And in order to discover that truth, we just need to cease to be that which we are not. And how does that arise, that which we are not? What happens is that the Mandukya Upanishad presents that in a formidable way. We start with the deep sleep state. In deep sleep, your experience is actually nothing. And yet you exist. But in that state in which you exist, God, which is omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient, we can say God is there. You are there, so God is there, I is there. The self is there. And consciousness, which is another definition for God. So in deep sleep, there is I, which is the same as consciousness, which is the same as God. there's a mass of consciousness that is there and that is infinite and eternal, because God is infinite and eternal. And it coincides with I. And then suddenly there is the dream state. The consciousness which is unmanifested in the deep sleep state, now the consciousness becomes manifested. But as it is manifested, it appears as mind. And you could say that there's the individual mind, but there's also the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind, which would be that firstborn, that appearance, like I am, peace, Brahma. It is already there in the beginning before the human being is there. And so with mind, this appearance of consciousness, there is a knowledge of good and evil, beautiful and ugly. And suddenly we are in the deep sleep state, and by the habit of believing I'm the body, when actually the totality of the dream is the expression of consciousness, and you are no more the body in the dream state than you are the sun, that you are the stars, that you are the ocean in front of you, that you are the others, the other, that you realize when you are waking up from the dream state. In the dream state, by habit, immediately we fall into the mind's trick, you could say, which is not a simple trick to get out of. But consciousness, which is infinite and non-manifested in the dream, in the deep sleep state, now in the dream state is manifested. And in this manifestation, there is this appearance, like the snake in the rope. And then there's good and evil. And that which is good, we see the sunset above the ocean is, oh, so beautiful. I want to buy a land here. I want to stay here. I love it so much, And so there's a desire for that. And then you see a spider, ugly, bad, and you want to destroy it. But actually, there is no difference in truth, because everything is consciousness manifested, an expression of that consciousness, including the false appearance of you. So desire arises because of this capacity of the mind, and because the light of our consciousness, which is a power of belief, is invested in a certain way of ignorance. Now we have to change that way of believing. So suppose that you are in the dream state and you're in the dream state and you say, hey, a moment ago I was in the deep sleep state. And all that I see here is an expression of the state in which I was when I was in the deep sleep state of that consciousness. It is a mistake for me to believe that all this is different from the state in which that was there, that adorable state in the deep sleep state. Everything is an expression of that adorable state which is there in the deep sleep state. The deep sleep state becomes a deep reference. The deep sleep state, there I and God and consciousness are infinite and eternal. And that which is unmanifested there is just here manifested. Now, one becomes, with the path, with the sadhana, with the I am, with the repetition of God's name, ready to study that way think that way, believing that way, and to have when you believe that way, to have an apperception of the truth in your life. At the end, it's very simple. And then to apply this way of thinking in the dream state to the waking state. So this world phenomenon then is not a truth and the concrete reality in which I, as the body and mind, exist. The truth here has nothing to do with this world. Where we have a beautiful reference for truth, it is actually in the deep sleep state where I coincides with God, coincides with consciousness, which is there in the deep sleep state, which is unmanifested there. It's like the ocean. The ocean is unmanifested, and there is only the ocean without waves. So it becomes our point of reference. As soon as we have waves, oh, we become impressed by, oh, beautiful waves, ugly waves, positive, negative, and then you have these names and forms, very impressive, and then by questions of habit, you are, believing in this world of waves. But then, even as a wave there, you can think, hey, when the ocean was calm and without waves, I was there. The experience is not reduced to that which we understand in ways of the mind, because sometimes we think, oh, if I don't understand with my mind, then it is not a point of reference. Here we have a point of reference where there is no mind, and where the truth actually is in a state where our experience is nothing. Because the self is elsewhere than what you are, not where you think that you are. You do not exist where you think that you are. You do not exist in this personality. You are elsewhere. Lord Jesus said, my kingdom is none of this world. The self is not within the experience of the mind. So it is a process which requires a good guidance, and we are at the right place at Gurudev's ashram to receive that guidance and the blessings to awake to the truth. So, I suppose that my talk is finished. Hey, sis, I see you. Can you talk?
Yeah, I'm here to talk.
So
it was a great talk, bro. Thank you. And I'm happy you gave a really good analysis of the three states.
I
mentioned myself that Swami Brahmanandaji put so much emphasis on deep sleep. Saying if you want to know what God is, you want to know what the self is, you want to know what the world is, understand your deep sleep. What is actually happening there?
Yes.
So thank you so much for giving that analysis. And it was a lovely talk. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And tomorrow you'll be answering questions.
Mhm.
So please, everybody who's here, feel very free to either ask Swamiji questions. You can ask through the, I guess, yes, you can ask through the form. There's a form on the website itself, or you can ask through chat. But whatever comes through the form, I guess I'll put them in an email and send them to you so you can read them. I think that would be the easiest thing to do.
To me, you will send.
Yeah, I'll send them to you.
Okay.
So I encourage everybody to send them as soon as possible.
Mhm. Well, you see the picture of Swamiji there. I have Gurudev on the other side, but I had the crash on this side, so I needed to have the crash in the spirit of Christmas, you know.
Yeah,
But
I'm happy. I'm happy you've got the background of Christmas, because we don't have one Christmas decoration up in the ashram. So you wouldn't even know it was Christmas. And Jagadish has got the key to the storage room where all the decorations are, so we couldn't even try to do it.
we can break the lock, you know. All right. Well,
Okay.
happy to provide the Christmas decoration.
Yeah. Yes. No, it's nice to see it. I'm sure everybody's enjoying to see a little Christmas as part of our ashram, because this whole thing is connected to Christmas.
Yes, yes, and this is our ashram as well, you know.
Yeah.
And also it is also the north, you know, so we have snow outside, and so minus 20, which is nice and fresh outside, cold, the real cold, not the false cold, the real cold.
Not the phony cold we have here, but it's getting cold because we have no heating.
Oh, okay, because inside it's plus, I'm looking at the heating plus 24 in the living room here. So this is, we're not outside with the minus 20, to tell the truth, you know.
Many of the panels are saying hello and sending messages of love and thanks to you.
Yes, thank you. So Hari Om.
Yeah, so we see tomorrow night, and now anyways, it's good news that it worked.
Yes. I'm glad. Today is a beautiful sunny day, so the internet's not affected. It's been successful, so I'm very happy about that.
Yes. Thank you, Rove. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and we'll see you all tomorrow morning at Gurudev's morning meditation.
Right.
Have you attended any of the programs? We have morning meditation also.
I've seen you yesterday. I've seen you on YouTube, you know.
Oh. Yeah, you didn't see Dad spoke today.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, you should listen to it. It was the last talk he gave at the Christmas retreat in 2015. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, bro. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye, everybody. Yeah. Omo.